Guys, Joe Moglia is on.
Well, good morning, Coach. Appreciate you joining us early. We were experiencing some difficulties trying to get Jimmy Chadwell, so appreciate you coming on as soon as you could. If you wouldn't mind, talk about the victory over Elon, the 31-3 win, to move to 5-0, and then heading back on the road, going to Furman this weekend.
I think the Elon game was our best overall game so far this year. I was concerned about being able to contain their quarterback. I think our defense was able to do that. Our defense was also pretty effective versus both the run and the pass. And I've been very, very pleased overall with the progress that our defense has shown this year. From an offensive perspective, I was disappointed in our fumbles. Again, we're turning the ball over too much this year, and all of our guys are well aware of that. That's something we know we have to be able to correct. But we did do a good job in terms of coming out in the second half, and I think mix up both the run and the pass, and we're far more effective getting the ball into the end zone. From a special teams perspective, our place kicker, Alex Catley, who's done a great job for us the last couple of years, struggled a little bit again, but across the board, all 6 units did a very, very good job. So the bottom line is, while it wasn't what I think any of our guys would call a complete game, for us, we really put it all together. It was a good game, and it was our best game to date.
Thank you, Coach. At this time, we'll take questions for Head Coach Joe Moglia. To ask a question, please press *1 on your phone at any time, or click the Q&A link near the top of your browser, and click raise hand if you join us via the web. And Coach, while we're waiting for questions, talk about this week's opponent, Furman. You've had two great games against them your first 2 years, and just heading down to Greenville.
Yeah, so I think as far as to echo what you're saying, Mark, we have had 2 great games against them these last couple of years. Those games certainly could have gone either way. They did a very good job of moving the ball against us a year ago. They frankly owned our perimeter. And I think when you take a look at them this year, they lost their starting quarterback in the beginning of the season. We played against him the previous 2 years. Certainly we understand that that's a loss for them. They have both a redshirt freshman and a freshman that have been seeing action at quarterback. We think we might see either one of those. Whichever one we see is not going to affect our game plan at all, frankly. We're going to need to have the same thoughtful preparation regardless of who's at quarterback. Both of the guys are good athletes. Both of them can run. Both of them can throw. Their quarterback is their leading attempt rusher. So we've got to always know where he is, and either one of them have the ability to be able to throw. I think the younger kid's probably a little quicker. I think the older kid might throw the ball a little bit better. They have been outstanding this year as far as defense goes. They're the #1 pass defense in the country. They're the 15th scoring best defense in the country. And the one thing that I always look at is where they are in penalties. They're 9th in the country in terms of fewest penalty yards. That to me always winds up saying something about their discipline. So you take a look. They're sound across the board with regards to special teams. They do a couple things. Their punt formation's a little different. Not something we've never seen. They've done it in the past, just different than what we've been seeing so far this year. But we should be prepared for that. They do a good job across the board of special teams. Their punt return average is about 10 yards, so we know we've got to be really disciplined in terms of our coverage in our lanes. But I think Furman struggled a little bit with the overall record, but I think with one of the better defenses in the country and their offense being able to make some noise and come up with some plays and sound special teams, that's always a concern.
Thanks, Coach. Talk about going back on the road for the 4th time in 6 weeks, and just kind of with that, how that's been and how you've been able to manage that.
Well, I think that's one of the things we don't control, so we don't pay attention to it, Mark. And we would always love to be able to play at home, but we don't always get that opportunity, so we're playing on the road. We know what our routine is. We go through pretty much the same thing. Our guys almost always go to all their classes on Fridays. We get everything done that we need to get done here. We go to the hotel. We relax a little bit at the hotel. We have a little bit of a prayer service. Coaches relax a little bit. We don't have mandatory meetings at night for the guys. And then depending on what time we play the next day, we kind of plan that day accordingly. The game's not until 7 o'clock at night, so we'll have a leisurely day planned for the guys, throughout the span of the day on Saturday. And then as we start to approach a pregame meal, then we go into the exact same routine that we always do. So it'd be nice to be able to play at home, but we don't even think about that. We're not playing at home. That's it. We're not thinking about it.
All right. Alex Ross had a nice game, 338 yards passing, 426 total yards. With a new weapon, it seemed like a new weapon, D'Angelo Henderson coming out of the backfield with 8 catches, 90 yards. Let's talk about D'Angelo being more of a receiver in this past game. Is that something that is being built around going forward?
Well, when we go in, we're not building around that per se going forward. When we go into any game, the objective is to normally begin with a 50-50 balance between our run and pass. If, though, you start to cheat a little bit to take away one phase of our game, we'll be a little bit more aggressive on the other. I think there was something, frankly, that Elon was doing with their coverage that made it a little bit more difficult to make sure that they knew where the backs were. So we thought that was the case, and we were able to take advantage of that. That's not necessarily going to be part of the repertoire going forward. We'll go into each game, offensively at least, with the idea of being balanced and kind of having a good feel for what you will try to do against us. Totally looking at Furman and the fact they've got good athletes and the fact that, they have really good numbers from a national perspective means we know that we've got our work cut out for us. What we absolutely know is we can't turn the ball over. But what we do will be a little bit more a function of what they give us rather than a specific design. The backside of the backfield was a design for Elon. That doesn't mean that's going to be the case going forward.
Understood. Well, Coach, I'm not seeing any other questions for you, so we'll let you go. Thanks again for joining us, and good luck Saturday at Furman.
Thanks very much, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right. And unfortunately, we have been unsuccessful tracking down Coach Chadwell from Charleston Southern. So at this point, we will go ahead and conclude the call. My thanks to all the coaches and media for joining us today and for your patience later this morning with our delay. Once again, the cut-ups of the coaches' calls will be available for playback later this afternoon. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great rest of the week.